Ever tried to send some crypto or maybe mint an NFT, and then bam, you get hit with a transaction fee that is just shockingly high? It's a massive frustration, and honestly, a huge barrier for a lot of people. So today, we're going to break down exactly why that happens, and we'll explore the incredible tech being built to fix it once and for all. Let's get into it.
And no, that's not an exaggeration, for real. During peak times on the network, we've seen simple transactions on Ethereum cost $50, $60, even over $100. Look, this is more than just an inconvenience. It makes a ton of applications completely unusable for regular people. It just prices them out of the system.
Okay, so that's the big question, right? Why does this technology that's supposed to be the future of finance often feel so much slower and more expensive than the stuff we already have? Well, the answer? It all comes down to a fundamental design challenge that every single blockchain has to deal with. And that challenge? It has a name. It's called the blockchain trilemma. This idea, which was really popularized by Ethereum's founder Vitalik Buterin, is the absolute key to understanding this whole scaling problem. It's the framework that pretty much shapes every single decision in this space.
So here it is, the big idea. The trilemma basically says you can pick any two of these three crucial things, but getting all three at the same time? Yeah, good luck with that. At least not without some serious, next-level innovation. Let's quickly unpack what each of these really means.
All right, first up, decentralization. You know, this is the soul of what makes a blockchain, well, a blockchain. It means there's no single company, no government, no one person in charge. This is what makes the whole thing resistant to censorship and just incredibly tough to take down.
Then we've got security. I mean, think about it. If you're going to have a network handling billions of dollars in value, it has to be a fortress, rock solid. Security means the network can fight off attackers, and that once your transaction is in, it's final. It can't be changed. It's what lets us trust a system without needing to trust anyone personally.
And last but not least, scalability. This brings us right back to where we started, with those crazy high fees. This is just the network's ability to handle tons of transactions without grinding to a halt, which is what keeps things fast and cheap. It's the piece you absolutely need for mass adoption.
And this chart, wow, it just lays it all out, doesn't it? Look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. They chose decentralization and security, but the price they pay is speed. I mean, their transactions per second are tiny compared to a network like Visa. It's not even in the same league. That right there is the trilemma in action. It's the bottleneck.
So, if the main chain, what we call layer 1, is stuck with this trilemma, what do we do? How do we fix this? Well, the smartest minds in the space came up with a clever solution. What if we don't try to change the main chain at all? What if we just build on top of it?
And that's exactly where Layer 2s, or L2s, come into the picture. The analogy I love is this. Think of Layer 1, like Ethereum, as this super jammed, gridlocked highway. And L2 is like building a brand new, super fast express lane right over the top of it. It whisks traffic off the main road, lets it fly, and then smoothly merges the final destination back onto the main highway.
So the whole idea is to let these Layer 2s do all the hard work, all the heavy lifting of processing transactions, where things are way faster and cheaper. But, and this is the most important part, they don't have to invent their own security from scratch. They get to borrow or inherit the bulletproof security of Layer 1. The main chain just sits back and acts as the ultimate settlement layer, the final judge and jury.
Okay, so within this whole universe of Layer 2s, there's one specific type of technology that has just taken over. It's the clear frontrunner where all the action and innovation is happening right now, and they're called rollups. The magic of a rollup is actually pretty simple, but it's genius. Here's how it works. It takes a huge batch of transactions, we're talking hundreds, maybe thousands, processes them all super fast in its own little off-chain world, and then it rolls them up. It bundles and compresses all that data into one tiny little package and posts just that one thing back to Layer 1. What does that mean for you? It means you're splitting the cost of a single expensive Layer 1 transaction with hundreds of other people. Your fee just plummeted. It's a game changer.
Right, but it gets a little more complex. Not all rollups work the same way. There are two main flavors you need to know about: optimistic and ZK. Optimistic rollups are kind of like innocent until proven guilty. They just assume all transactions are valid. But there's a catch. There's a waiting period, maybe a week, where anyone can challenge a transaction if they see something fishy. This makes them easier for developers to build on, but the trade-off for you is that it can take a while to get your money out. Then you have ZK rollups. These are the rocket science of the bunch. They use some seriously advanced cryptography to create what's called a validity proof. It's a mathematical guarantee that every single transaction in the batch is 100% correct. It's harder to build, for sure, but the big win is that your funds are available almost instantly.
And listen, this isn't just stuff on a whiteboard. These are real, live ecosystems handling billions of dollars right now. In the optimistic camp, you've got the heavyweights, Arbitrum and Optimism. And on the cutting-edge ZK side, you've got projects like ZK Sync and Starknet that are really pushing the limits of what this tech can do.
But wait, there's more. Rollups are amazing, but they're not the only solution out there. The quest for scalability is a huge effort, and there are other really interesting ideas being worked on at the same time.
So let's talk about side chains. Now, if a Layer 2 rollup is an express lane on the main highway, a side chain is more like a whole separate city road network running in parallel. It has its own rules of the road, its own security force, its own consensus mechanism, and it's connected back to that main highway with bridges. The biggest example you've probably heard of is Polygon POS.
Okay, but here's the thing about those bridges. They create a new problem. Because the sidechain is in charge of its own security, that bridge connecting it back to the super secure mainnet, it becomes a massive glowing target for hackers. Seriously, securing these bridges is one of the single biggest security headaches in the entire crypto space.
And if you don't believe me, look at this number, over $2 billion. That's how much has been stolen from insecure bridges. So yeah, sidechains offer incredible scale, but it comes with a major trade-off. You're taking on a whole different kind of security risk than you are with a rollup.
So let's just quickly put this all together. You've got rollups, which inherit their security straight from the ultra-secure Layer 1. You have sidechains like Polygon POS that are responsible for their own security. And then you have other cool models out there like Polkadot's Parachains, which use a kind of shared security model. You can see how each one is making a different bet on how to solve that trilemma.
And if we really want to peek into the future, we have to talk about modular blockchains. This is a pretty mind-bending idea. The concept is to stop trying to make one blockchain do everything. Instead, you break up the core jobs like processing transactions, storing the data, making sure everyone agrees, and you have different specialized chains do each job really, really well. Projects like Celestia are leading the charge here, basically acting as a super efficient data storage layer that other rollups can plug into to become even cheaper.
Okay, so we've talked about rollups, sidechains, this new modular world. It's a lot, I know. But what does it all mean? Where is all of this heading? What does the future of blockchain performance actually look like?
Well, it seems to be shaking out into three big trends. First, that ZK technology we talked about, it's only going to get better, faster, and cheaper. It's very likely that ZK rollups become the dominant way we scale. Second, this modular idea is going to catch on big time, creating this incredible ecosystem where specialized chains all work together. And finally, the next huge mountain to climb will be making sure all these different chains and layers can talk to each other without any friction.
And that really brings us to the end game. The whole point of all this brain-meltingly complex technology, the rollups, the bridges, the modular stacks, is for it to eventually just disappear, to fade into the background. So the big question is, will these solutions finally make the blockchain so fast, so cheap, and so easy to use that the next billion people won't even have a clue they're using it? That, my friends, is the billion-dollar or maybe trillion-dollar question.